बचाओ।
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll get you top stories from India and the region. I am Tanvi Taneja. And for news from the rest of the world, I'm joined by my colleague in Washington, D.C., Caroline Malone. Good evening from New Delhi, Caroline.
Good morning, Tanvi. It's 9 a.m. here in Washington, D.C. and 3 in the afternoon across Central Europe. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, we have more from the conflict in Ukraine and go live to our reporter in Kyiv. But first, the headlines.
Pakistan headed for a hung parliament. Independents backed by Imran Khan's PTI party in the lead. Karachi stock index plunges 1.8% on political uncertainty. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he has no interest in expanding the Ukraine conflict to Poland or Latvia. In a rare TV interview, says he's ready to negotiate with Kiev. Joe Biden gets a reprieve in classified documents case, but the special counsel dubs him forgetful commander-in-chief. In his defense, the US president says his memory is fine. And Indian Ocean nations need to reflect on pursuing more collective self-reliance, says India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at the 7th Indian Ocean Conference in Perth. Up first, news from Pakistan. Jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan's party-backed independent candidates have sprung a surprise as the counting of votes for the general elections in the country is underway. So far, the Election Commission of Pakistan has announced results for over 100 seats, out of which Imran Khan has won in 47 of the 106 parliamentary seats. The Pakistan People's Party of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has got 24, while former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz PMLN party has won 18 seats. It's been almost 24 hours since voting has been closed. People in Pakistan were skeptical about a delay in the results for the country's national election.
कल के जो इलेक्शंस हुए उसमें काफ़ी अच्छा टर्नआउट देखा और काफ़ी लोगों ने इसमें पार्टिसिपेट भी किया। लाइक जितने लोगों ने पहले पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया था उन लोगों का भी टर्नआउट अच्छा रहा है। तो लेट्स सी कि इसमें अच्छा रिजल्ट आना चाहिए और जिनको मैंडेट मिला है तो होपफुली उन्हीं को दिया जाए, ना कि दूसरी पार्टीज़ को उनका लेकर चीज़ें ख़राब की जाए।
कि जो नताइज आवाम ने वोट दिए हैं उसके मुताबिक आएंगे, कि उससे हट के नहीं आएंगे कि एक बंदे ने 20,000 वोट लिया है लेकिन वो आज उसको लेट करके कल उसके नतीजे आएंगे जिससे 50,000 वोट वो आगे चले जाएंगे। इस तरह नहीं होगा। उम्मीद है कि जिस उम्मीदवार को जितने वोट दिए हैं उतने ही वोट वो जीत सकता है।
Now, DD India's Jessica Taneja joins us live on the story. Jessica, how has Pakistan received the results so far?
Well, checking up on the official results for about a few minutes ago, the lead is maintained by PTI affiliate independents, which is around at 62 seats, followed by the PMLN, which is led by Nawaz Sharif. The front runner predicted yesterday to win, but the election engineering somehow hasn't worked in his favor so far. Then the third dynast party, which was in context, the Pakistan's People Party, led by Bilawal Bhutto, the former foreign minister who was serving in the cabinet of the coalition just before the elections took place, is at 33. And of course, remaining 126 that need to be declared. Now, important point to remember here, Tanvi, is if the PTI-backed independent affiliates managed to get across the magic number, which is 166, to get the majority, it would be even more chaotic, as you and I and many analysts across the globe had predicted for Pakistan. Not only has this election been the bloodiest of elections that it has seen so far, but it also the most controversial one, where even election rigging was preempted, but that election rigging and that planning and engineering has not gone according to plan. So election results, which were supposed to trickle in early this morning, it's approximately approximately 7 p.m. In the evening in Pakistan, and we still don't have clarity as to which party is leading, and the chaos still continues.
Okay, so what are the economic challenges, Jessica, the country now faces with these messy electoral results?
That's correct. These messy electoral results will, of course, increase the economic woes for a country like Pakistan, which you know since 2022, when Pakistan former Prime Minister Imran Khan was ousted, while there were corruption cases on him. There was a deal struck with the IMF. The bailout package was for $3 billion, and it ends in April this year. So until and unless there is a government which is elected democratically and can serve people's interests, especially when a country which is completely unstable when it comes to its economic reforms and desperately needs those funds right now to function. Look at the backdrop today. As you reported, the Pakistan Stock Exchange is not performing well. Pakistan's international bonds are selling at a much lower price today. And if you look at the overall economic landscape, inflation is almost 30%. That is what was recorded last in January. If you look at February, it's still at 26%. So people are completely under pressure. Even if they elect a government, pre-poll rigging and post-poll rigging continues in Pakistan, and that is definitely not going to help in any kind of economic reform, let alone political reform, which of course is chaotic because of the military's intervention and its direct hand in the political landscape, Tanvi.
Yes, thank you very much, Jessica, for those inputs. So, as also being reported by our correspondent, Pakistan's benchmark stock index, the Karachi Stock Exchange KSE 100 index, finally closed 1,200 points down, or 1.8% today, following 5 straight sessions of gains. There was clearly a lot of confusion among investors who foresaw political instability with the formation of a government comprising independent candidates. So this delay in the election results is also unusual for Pakistan. On to US politics now. A new level of political party dysfunction has been on full display in the US in the recent past. Further, both the main 2024 US presidential candidates are mired in court cases. My colleague Caroline Malone is in Washington, D.C. She gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. So, Caroline, how is the race to the Oval Office shaping up?
Well, the race for the Oval Office continues to heat up. The primary elections for the Republicans and Democrats are underway to select the 2 main contenders to be presidential candidates. Former President Donald Trump has yet again made a victory in Nevada's Republican caucus. Rahul Upadhyay reports.
Donald Trump won the Nevada Republican caucuses after staunch loyalists in the state helped confirm the election would be a success for him. With this, Trump moves closer to becoming the Republican Party's White House standard-bearer in a likely general election rematch with U.S. President Joe Biden in November. After his win in Nevada and the U.S. Virgin Islands, Trump appeared before supporters in Las Vegas.
I just want to really thank the great people of Nevada, because this was a turnout. I don't know if you know, you broke the all-time record. The all-time caucus record was broken.
According to a polling firm report, Trump is the only frontrunner in his party's nominating race. He's the only major candidate competing in Nevada's caucuses and is set to win the state's 26 delegates to the party's nominating convention in July, after being projected the winner on Thursday night.
If Donald Trump doesn't make it, she's out on her own.
If it's not Trump, it's no one, yes. If he's who I want, he's who America wants, and I want what America wants.
The former U.S. president won 182 votes, or 74% of the 246 votes cast there, beating his last remaining rival in the Republican race, Nikki Haley, who won 26% support with 64 votes. The Nevada caucuses, organized by the Trump-friendly Nevada Republican Party, came 2 days after a state-run primary election which saw a defeat for Haley. Despite the results in Nevada having little impact on the Republican nominating contest, the state will be a hotly contested battleground because its population can swing to either party and play a significant role in November's presidential election. Rahul Upadhyay's report, DD India.
Well, the US Supreme Court appears skeptical about a Colorado ruling removing Trump from the ballot. The state of Colorado had ruled that the ex-president was ineligible to run for office, citing insurrection under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Well, a 15-month investigation into US President Joe Biden for improperly handling classified documents ended on Thursday after special counsel Robert Hurd's probe concluded that the president had complied and a jury would be unlikely to find him guilty. Well, special counsel Hurd's 388-page report did not charge the 81-year-old President Biden with a crime, but he did talk of a forgetful commander-in-chief who willfully retained classified information, including important classified documents, and gave a depiction that could hurt Biden politically. While addressing a press conference, Biden later insisted his memory is fine.
My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I've become president. Because I'm the most qualified person in this country to be president of the United States and finish the job I started. I did not share classified information. I did not share it. With your ghostwriter? With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not. What I would have done is oversee the transfer of the material that was in my office.
Well, a $95 billion aid package that includes money for Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan made progress in the US Senate on Thursday. The new bill strips out several US border measures from a $118 billion bipartisan package that Senate Republicans voted down on Wednesday. Now, if the Senate goes ahead and approves the new aid package, it must still get through the House of Representatives, where many members are not likely to approve such funding. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is in Washington for talks with the US President Biden at the White House on Friday. The leaders are scheduled to discuss new aid for Ukraine and the conflict in the Middle East. The meeting comes after delays in funding for Ukraine from the US, with Republicans more concerned about border security and wanting to urge Europe to do more for Kyiv. They are also likely to discuss continued threats by Houthi militants to international shipping in the Red Sea. Well, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has named former army chief General Valery Zaluzhnyi as a hero of Ukraine, just a day after he was replaced. The general was removed after apparent disagreement with Zelensky. Russia has reacted, saying it does not believe the appointment of a new Ukrainian commander-in-chief will alter the outcome of the ongoing conflict. Well, DD India's Megumi Lim joins us live now from Kyiv. So, Megumi, why has this general been ousted now?
Well, President Zelensky has made very clear that Ukraine is in urgent need of change as the country enters into the third year of war against Russia. And President Zelensky, in his nightly video address on Thursday, where he announced the dismissal of Zaluzhny, he said that Ukraine did see some successes on the Black Sea, where various attacks on Russia's Black Sea fleet had weakened Russia's navy, and also that Ukraine had saw some successes in the sky thanks to Western supplied air defense systems, but that Ukraine had failed to meet the objectives and goals on the ground, on the battlefield, and that is why Ukraine is in need of urgent change, and that is why Zaluzhny now has been replaced with Alexander Syrsky, the former head of Ukraine's ground forces. Now, as you said, it is also widely known that Zaluzhny and Zelensky has not had an easy relationship. They have had quite a few disagreements over the past few months, especially after Zaluzhny published an essay in The Economist saying that the war had reached a stalemate and had become positional, an analysis that Zelensky had very strongly refuted at the time. And Meanwhile, Syrskyi is very, very close to Zelensky. So it appears that maybe Zelensky has felt like he would feel more comfortable working with Alexander Syrskyi in this coming year, as Ukraine is facing a very difficult, challenging year ahead. But it is unclear whether this appointment of a new commander of Ukraine's armed forces will help change the dynamic of the war, because Ukraine's main problem remains the same, is that additional military aid from the United States remains stalled, and Ukraine is facing a critical shortage of ammunition, especially artillery shells. And we're also seeing reports that Ukraine is suffering from a shortage of infantry. So this move could be positive, but we still don't know if it will be a significant one and whether it will change the tide of the war in Ukraine's favor.
Okay. Thank you, Megumi. That was Megumi reporting live from Kyiv. Well, while the world is entangled in conflicts in different regions, Russian President Vladimir Putin said in an interview that his country will still fight for its interests. In a rare interview with US former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson, Putin said Ukraine had been on the verge of agreeing to a deal with Russia to end hostilities at talks in Istanbul in April 2022, but then backed out once Russian troops withdrew from near Kyiv.
Further on, President of Ukraine issued a decree prohibiting negotiations with us. Let him cancel that decree, and that's it. We have never refused negotiations, indeed. We hear all the time, is Russia ready? Yes, we have not refused. It was them who publicly refused. Well, let him cancel his decree and enter into negotiations. We have never refused. And the fact that they obeyed the demand or persuasion of Mr. Johnson, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, seems ridiculous and very sad to me. Because, as Mr. Arakamiya put it, we could have stopped those hostilities with war a year and a half ago already. But the British persuaded us and we refused this. Where is Mr. Johnson now? And the war continues.
That's it from me here in Washington. Back to you in the studio, Tanvi.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Caroline Malone joining us from Washington, D.C. You're watching DD India Global, still to come on this show. Britain's Prince Harry settles the remainder of his lawsuit against Mirror Group newspapers over phone hacking, accepts substantial damages.
Is telepathy real or fiction? Could it soon be a reality? Imagine controlling your world with your mind. Elon Musk's brain chip promises telepathy for real. But is it safe? Is it ethical? I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar underlined the significant changes in the core concept of security in the Indian Ocean region in recent times. He was addressing the inaugural session of the 7th Indian Ocean Conference in Perth, City of Australia. The two-day Indian Ocean Conference started on Friday with the theme Towards a Stable and Sustainable Indian Ocean.
The need of the day is to disperse production across more geographies and build reliable and resilient supply chains. The digital era and emergence of artificial intelligence has, in parallel, put a premium on trust and transparency. Our very concept of security has undergone a metamorphosis in a volatile and uncertain existence. As a result, nations of the Indian Ocean today need to reflect on whether they should pursue more collective self-reliance or remain as vulnerable as in the past. Our sustainable future lies in concentrating on the drivers of the future.
India has decided to confer its highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, to three eminent personalities posthumously: former Prime Ministers Chaudhry Charan Singh and P.V. Narasimha Rao, and agriculture scientist M.S. Swaminathan, who have significantly contributed to India's socio-economic development. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised late Chaudhry Charan Singh for dedicating his entire life to the rights of farmers and their welfare. Narasimha Rao's visionary leadership was instrumental in making India economically advanced, laying a solid foundation for the country's growth. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan is being conferred with the Bharat Ratna for his monumental contribution to Indian agriculture and farmers' welfare during challenging times. And now we take a look at what else is happening across the world. British Prince Harry has settled the remainder of his lawsuit against Mirror Group newspapers over phone hacking. The publisher agreed to pay substantial damages and his legal costs. However, that judgment only considered 33 of 148 articles Harry had complained about, ruling in his favour over 15 of these. Mirror Group newspapers will pay the Duke of Sussex a substantial additional sum by way of damages. A cupboard of 7 giant panda cubs gathered for a specially arranged New Year event. The furry balls gathered at a breeding base in northwest China's Shanxi province to extend Chinese New Year greetings to people. The Qinling Giant Panda Research Center is one of the 3 major panda research centers in China. So that's it in this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at DD India Live. I'm Tanvi Taneja from my entire team in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.